Thank you for joining us for Weekdays Live with Reverend Al Sharpton. Take the time to share this broadcast right now. Tell your friends it's time to keep it real with Reverend Al. Comment your questions now in the chat or call Reverend Al Sharpton directly on air at 877-532-5797. Now stay tuned for Reverend Al.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton. As you watch the broadcast, support National Action Network. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net and be involved. You can join, take your membership right online, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Getting ready to start the program, but we need you to be part of the movement. Do I seem excited? I am excited because this Saturday, the National Action Network Saturday Action Rally starts live on WBLS 107.5 FM in New York. We're going to expand. Every Saturday morning, we're live on WBLS 107.5 from 10 a.m. to 11. You'll hear the message. You'll feel the energy. You'll be involved. You won't be sitting around talking about, oh my God, look at what's happening. You'll be involved in dealing with what's happening. I'm excited, and you should be excited to turn on WBLS 10 a.m. every Saturday morning. I have a message for you, and if you want to, you can come to the House of Justice and be there live, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue. We kick off at 9, and we don't stop until we deal with getting our people energized. All right, thanks. It's Thursday, January the 8th. Do you know what time it is? Yes, Al Sharpton's time. And for the next 3 hours, it's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. A very good afternoon to you all across the country. Good morning to our West Coast listeners. And welcome to those listening on Sirius XM, Channel 126, The Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. I'm coming to you live from our National Action Network corporate headquarters in New York. And for the next 3 hours, you can be heard, or I can read your thoughts. All you have to do is go to nationalactionnetwork.net and send me a message on our message board, or you can call in at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. And I see, I was getting ready to read one, y'all switched on me. I see Darryl Prunty says, praise the Lord, Reverend Al Sharpton. I'm praying that God stop Trump and his administration in whatever he sees fit. All right, whatever way God sees fit, I'm with that. James Thomas says, good afternoon, Reverend Sharpton, and happy Policy Day to you and all. Well, James is a frequent listener because he knows Policy Days is on Thursday, and Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin to be on today for Policy Day. And a lot to talk about. The whole shooting and killing of a young lady, 37 years old, white female, Renee Nicole Good, by an ICE agent, has caught the nation's attention. Now, you know what is interesting to me? When it happened, and I talked about it a little on the air yesterday, we didn't have all the details. Then they came out with the video about the time I was coming off the air, and then I went on Ari Melba's show last night for a half hour on MS Now, and then this morning for 2 hours I was on with Morning Joe. And the more I saw the film, the more, a couple of things come to mind. The more I saw the film, the more I became incensed with the insensitivity to human life that this ICE agent had. I mean, he was in no threat and just walked up and just shot her, bam, 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 and walked away. And then I became even more incensed when I see Kristi Noem just outright lie and say they were rioting. There was no riots. Many of you now have seen the film. There was no riots going on. She got in the car, pulled out. I don't care if they told her to stop, we want to talk, whatever. If she felt that she was being wrongly treated or being wrongly directed, you don't execute her. And the guy just walked up and shot her. There was no policeman, and as we find out now, the rules are the police or ICE can't stand in front of a car, but there was nobody even doing that. But the question becomes even more egregious when you see how this White House and their minions just outright lie on people. For this head of Homeland Security to just lie on this woman, mother of one, 37 years old, white woman, you know what they do to everybody else. And that's why I immediately went on television and everywhere else, because this is disgraceful, and if it is not stopped, they're going to keep doing it. There's a case of Porter in Los Angeles we're looking into outside of Los Angeles. Now we have this case of Good. And Trump himself went on Truth Social last night and said that these people were rioting, causing violence, or something to that effect, really repeating and underscoring what Noam said, which was a blatant lie. Now here the problem is that they're saying that the FBI, which is headed by Trump's people, they're going to solely be the ones to decide on the investigation. Now, that's like somebody investigating themselves. I've said publicly that this is as bad as it gets. And as I said this morning, I'm glad to see that there's a few people at first threw snowballs, but then they stopped. And I'm glad to see so far today, and we've been talking to people out in Minnesota because we know some of the activists there from the George Floyd case. And I'm glad that they have so far been peaceful because, and I get it, everybody's not for nonviolence like I am. I am unapologetically in the King tradition. Everybody's not there. So I say if you can't be there because of commitment, be there because of strategy. If you don't understand strategy, you shouldn't be in activism at all. If Kristi Noem and Donald Trump are trying to paint you as rioters, the last thing you want to do is have a riot. Because then they say, see, we told you. And it justifies what they did to this woman. I remember when George Floyd happened in that same city 5 years ago, going to be 6 years ago this August. People started, we're going to burn down this, burn down that. And the family called me to come in and do the eulogy in Minneapolis. They all were in Houston or North Carolina. None of them lived in Minneapolis but George. And by the time I flew in just 2 days later, they were burning up and all that. And the family said, Reverend, please hold a press conference to say they shouldn't be burning up things. We don't want George to be remembered as that. I said, well, that is very much appropriate how you want to be remembered. I said, but let me also tell you that strategically they want you to burn up stuff so they can say, see, we had no choice but to do what we do. That's why we put our knee on folks' neck. We got to hold them down. They're violent. Now, because they've gone to the tape, a tape that they did not do. Some bystander did it. I was talking about that on Morning Joe this morning. I remember it was a white guy that lived near where they beat Rodney King in 1991. He randomly took this tape, and that's what got them cops indicted. I remember with Eric Garner, somebody randomly took the tape of him having been held by a police chokehold. So it wasn't law enforcement that caught it. It was some random person. And just like the Attorney General of the state of Minnesota, Keith Ellison, stepped and took that case and indicted and put those 3 cops in jail around George Floyd, and they are there this morning. If they're strategic in Minneapolis, and I may go out there depending on what the local activists that we work with and the family want. But if they operate with discipline, they can put this ICE agent in jail. This is blatant, unquestionably, in my mind, a crime. There's nothing I've seen on the tapes, and I've seen it several times now, that could no way say that this was justified or that this was self-defense. So let's talk about that. Let's also talk about people are beginning to wake up to there is no legal way you can justify on international law what Trump has done in Venezuela. And now he's announced already, I told you that he was going to do it, that they're doing an oil deal and they're going to use the oil and sell the oil. So I told you that his whole agenda was around oil and business. That's who Trump is. And I would not be surprised if he gets away with this, if they try to do the same thing that they did to Maduro in other parts of Central America. So let's talk about that. Also, the Affordable Care Act. Now the Congress is trying to find a way to extend it until they can come up with a deal. That vote will happen today. They got around Speaker Johnson on this, which is a good thing. So let's talk about all of this, from the shooting by ICE of this lady, Miss Good, in Minneapolis, and what it means, to the question of what we're doing about extending the Affordable Care Act, which they claim they think they had the votes to do, though it expired December 31st. As well as every day we talk about voting rights under attack. The Supreme Court holding that case. It could drop any day now. A lot to talk about. I'm going to the phones as well as to the board, the message board. And that's a good point. Democracy.fund said, what is it about Prince's hometown that all this evil is unmasking itself, attacking every value my prophet stood for? That is Prince's hometown, and a whole lot is being exposed there. Interesting. Let's take the break. Come right back. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back. Keeping it real.
Who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, the two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me, and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
A blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I
a race
had to
baiter.
learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing. And I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are, and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that call me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustling, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to fight injustice and inequality here in New York City and across America. And that's not only a testament to Reverend Sharpton, it's a testament to all of you who are here tonight.
First and foremost, to Reverend Sharpton. I saw him when he first came on the scene, and I have marveled at his tenacity, at the development of his intellect, and his devotion to our movement, and much he has contributed to the world we are experiencing. I am honored, and I must say that when I had my debate with Dr. King on the issue of the church and religion, he didn't warn me that after his departure, his space would be filled by another preacher, and that preacher would be Al Sharpton.
All you want in life is people that matter to you to say you did all right. And more important, that you can look in the mirror and say you did all right.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do. And I thank you so much for your friendship.
I remember that most of the youth around Al's age, he was about 12, wanted to be like Connie Hawkins, a great basketball player, legend, or Earl the Pearl, or Clyde Frazier. Al wanted to be like Adam Powell, a powerful preacher with a social justice gospel. He was very close to, at that time, to Reverend William Augustus Jones, powerful preacher and social justice advocate, and Reverend Gardner Taylor State right down the street, and Bishop Washington, whose church he came from, and Reverend Sandy Ray. He wanted to be like these giant preachers. He wanted them to have the edge, however, of the King's social justice dimension. He wanted to be like them, now he's one of them. Perhaps taller than most of them because of the risks he has taken and the reward God has given him with his gift. I remember so well that I first escorted him to jail. He was around 13 years old, with the jail fighting the ANP. He was in the lineage of our struggle. He grew up in it. We didn't just see him on TV one night. He didn't happen. He came bottom up, not top down.
Some people report the news, others interpret it, but there are those who transform it into truth. Ari Melba has redefined journalism with intellect, creativity, and courage. He blends culture and current events, politics and poetry, truth and transparency. And in doing so, he reminds us that storytelling is a sacred work. Ari understands that our narratives shape our nation, and he has used his platform to highlight issues that matter to the people, not just to the powerful. Tonight we honor him for bridging art and activism, for using his voice to educate, inspire, and empower. Join me, please, in celebrating Ari Melba, recipient of the President's Award of Historic Transformative Leadership.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. How are you guys doing? First of all, Babyface is 67 years old. We might need a fact check on that. What an honor to be up here with Rev and everyone else. When Rev started out, they said, he's just doing this to get on TV. Now he has a TV show. He kept along and they said, well, he's just setting himself up to run for office, be a politician. Now he has the politicians coming here to be accountable to you. We're celebrating his 71st birthday, God bless. I don't think he's planning to run for office in his late 70s or 80s, although people do that nowadays. I don't know if you've heard. So as far as I can tell, maybe he was doing it for the people. Maybe he was doing it for voting rights and human rights and being an advocate for people in communities where when bad things do happen, they don't have a local advocate or a federal advocate or suddenly it doesn't feel like they have anyone who cares about what's happening to them. So it's funny, in the middle you can't always prove the case, but by this stage in his illustrious contributions to the United States, he's doing it for everyone. So shout out to Rev. I'm really honored to get this award. My grandmother was a refugee. My father's an immigrant. Like a lot of other people that I get to interact with, I'm very aware that my worst days are better than some of their best days. And so I keep that in mind, and I know Rev does and a lot of other people do. This award was called Leadership in the Arts. I'm honored by it. I love the arts. I won't say whether I've ascended to being a leader in the arts, but I will share with you the leaders I learned from. I learned civil rights from Sam Cooke. I learned about colonialism from Bob Marley. I learned about activism from Gil Scott-Heron. He said the revolution will not be televised. We're working on that. Rev and I are working on that. I learned about the media from KRS-One. I learned about politics from Public Enemy. I learned about police brutality from Tupac and about feminism from Lauryn Hill. So when I was growing up, I did okay in school, but I was quickly learning as a teenager there was all of these parts that weren't in the official story.
Yeah.
But they were true.
All right, sir,
So yes, we try to reflect some of that in our reporting. In times like this right now in America, art and free speech are under attack.
Real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and it is Policy Day Thursday. And certainly we're talking a lot about this ICE killing of a young woman unarmed in yesterday in Minneapolis, Minnesota, talking about the continued battle around Venezuela. Clearly, I want to get into what is going on there, because isn't it interesting that they removed Maduro, no hero at all. I have no problem with them getting rid of him. But they want to keep his people, his vice presidents, negotiating to stay in place. And they've announced where they're going to be doing the oil deals. Trump, which was what this was about. It's not about no democracy. Or they'd have been calling for new elections or recognize the opposition party that won the last election and Maduro wouldn't get out of the way. We talk about that. We're talking about, of course, the Affordable Care Act, voting on extension today. And I think it's very, very important that we deal with these issues, because every issue will come back at us. Tracy Green is on our message page saying, remember, in the video, Renee Nicole Good was backing up to create space so she could safely maneuver around the ICE agents. There was no aggression on her part. This tragic sequence of events resulted in the loss of her life, gone far too soon. I couldn't agree with you more. And I think this ICE man must be prosecuted. And I think we've got to hold into account how within a few hours, Kristi Noem and then later President Trump accused her of being a rioter and the aggressor, which is absolutely ludicrous, unproven. That's a lie. And we need to call it out like that. Let me say, by way of announcements, make sure you watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton this weekend. We're live at 5 p.m. both Saturday and Sunday. We're definitely going to be on. I'm going to have a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff that's going on in Minnesota and what people are planning to do. I know some legal stuff nationally is going to be dropped on tomorrow. I'm going to have the principals on, some of the senators and some of the members of Congress on about the Affordable Care Act. Do not miss this weekend. Between the Affordable Care Act between the power of ICE. If they get away with this with Miss Good in Minneapolis, they can shoot and kill anywhere in the country. They'll set a precedent on it. And, of course, we're going to deal with Venezuela. Do not miss Politics Nation with Al Sharpton this weekend, Saturday and Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And then on Saturday, don't forget the Saturday Action Rally for you that are here in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut vicinity. Be at the House of Justice in Harlem, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. I'll be giving the keynote again this week. But the international head of the Alpha fraternity is going to be there. They're announcing that they are partnering with National Action Network on this HBCU tour that's kicking off next week, where we're going to several HBCUs. I'm going to do 2 or 3 of them myself. We have our coordinator going, training young people in leadership, training young people in what to do in their town and their campus. And Psi Alpha is going to partner with us on this. And the international president will be there to announce that they're going to put up some of the funds. We're putting up even more. And we're hitting the road and getting this done. And we want to bring at least 300 of them, students, to the National Action Network Convention, which will be April 8th through the 11th in New York. And our conventions are all free, so people can go online now and start reserving it. Last year before last, people was complaining, y'all are overcrowded. I hardly could get a seat up front. Well, register now for the National Action Network Convention. All you have to do is go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net and register now. Also, a week from Monday, Martin Luther King holiday. They're threatening to take the holiday, and that's not hyperbole. They've said now they took Juneteenth, and Martin Luther King Day off of the free days in the park. They are slowly walking toward taking that back. We've got to show them big numbers on these commemorations Monday week, and that's the 19th of January. In the morning, we do our annual Martin Luther King Day breakfast. We're doing it at the Salamander in Washington, black-owned. In fact, we're honoring Sheila Johnson, the owner of it. She co-owned with her ex-husband, Bob Johnson, BET. Honoring Eric Holder, he'll be there, the former Attorney General of the United States. Honoring Donna Brazile. And we're honoring the mayor of Baltimore. And then we fly to New York, where we have already the governor and the mayor and everybody confirmed, because we have the elected Hakeem Jeffries. Elected officials tell us, what have you done to keep the dream alive? Now, Reverend Al, I think we ought to be, I come out the King movement. I want to be very clear on what they've done that has something connected to the King movement. It's not a day off, it's a day on. And that's why we're going to do this tour, to bring in a lot of the young people. And I think it's very important. We starting right there in Pennsylvania is our first stop. And I'm going to do the first couple, as I said, myself, because I'm very serious about us getting a lot of these students and younger generation to understand the dynamics of movement and leadership. You can't just be angry. You need that fire, but you need to be able to focus it and get something done. So go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net or call the toll-free number. Make your reservations for King Day. Make your reservations for the convention now, and we'll send out you an itinerary. All right, let's take a break. We'll be right back. I'm going to the phones. 1-877-532-5797. Sharpton, keeping it real. Be right back.
This is an important notice.
Our theme this year is we're going to straighten out tricks in 26. Straighten out tricks in 26. All the tricks is over.
changing the voting line, straighten out tricks in 26, selling us product but don't give us our diversity, equity, and engagement and inclusion. Straighten out tricks in 26. The tricks is over. It's fighting time. It's stand-up time. It's correcting time.
Hi, it's Reverend Al Sharpton, President and founder of National Action Network. We are at the very end of 2025, and I want to first say that I want to thank all of the officers, chapter leaders, regional directors, national staff, and certainly National Board of National Action Network for a solid and absolutely incredible year in 2025. Despite the fact that we are under assault, voting rights, diversity, equity, and inclusion, the battles globally where we're seeing Nigeria and Venezuela attacked, and on and on and on. We have been steadfast as an activist organization in the tradition of Dr. King. We started the year with a national call that thousands responded to, and we were in Washington on our side of town while Trump was being inaugurated on the other side of town. And we made a pledge. We told people to lift their hand and make the pledge. And we kept that pledge to work all year to keep the dream alive. And that led into when Trump went after DEI. We supported some that were boycotting, and we started boycotting, something that had never happened. We said we're going to go buy from those that have committed to keep DEI, and went in several cities around Costco's and Sharpton. We've now bought stock in other companies. We're going to shareholder meeting and demand they continue DEI. We've had a sensational National Action Network convention covering the span of activity, from political empowerment to education, to how we deal with the black church, how we deal with black women development that has to deal with both discrimination based on gender and race. And of course, we came to Wall Street by the thousands and marched in late summer on the anniversary of the March on Washington. And people thought you could not get people out, and they came from all over the country. And we marched on Wall Street and had an enormous turnout. The only mass black march, black-led march this year. We had a lot of protests, a lot of marches. I salute all No Kings marches and all. But the black organization march, it welcomed everybody. We had white, black, everybody there. Was our march on Wall Street in August. And then our Triumph Award and on into our fall agenda of organizing, mobilizing. We've expanded. We've started chapters in about 12 new cities. So I am proud of what we've done this year, but it's only the beginning, because our very rights are under attack, and they're not even being quiet about it. They want to revoke the Voting Rights Act. Section 2 may fall with this. They want to end the Civil Rights Act of 64. That's what the end of DEI is about. So let us be more alert and active than ever. History will decide whether the civil rights gains of the 50s and 60s died in the 2020s. That's on your watch and mine. So if we've got to march, we have to protest, we have to lobby, and we have to rally, whatever we need to do, we need to put our shoulder to the wheel more than ever. I'm going to lay out a plan on King Day, both in Harlem at our annual event and in in Washington at our annual Martin Luther King Day breakfast that we do in D.C. We do 2 cities that day. And then, of course, all roads lead to New York to paper for our convention. We had, as I said, the largest attendance convention last year in 2025. It needs to be more this year because our very existence is at stake. We also are closing our negotiations on a new headquarters, our national headquarters that befit our mission. I'm so excited about it, but I can't give you details. We're just about ready to sign the contract, but it will be something that will last longer than many of our lifetimes. So we came alive in 25, despite a hostile administration, despite the fact that a lot of people were intimidated and spooked into silence. We came alive in 25. Now we have to straighten out tricks in 26. I need you, we need each other. Let's do this. All these tricks, don't forget, Trump only won by 1.5%. He is trying to act like he has a mandate. No, he has a mission, Project 2025. We have the mandate that we can't let them undo what has been done. And we must even go further for the empowerment of all people. Happy New Year. And be focused. Oh, do I seem excited? I am excited because this Saturday, the National Action Network Saturday Action Rally starts live on WBLS 107.5 FM in New York. We're going to expand. Every Saturday morning, we're live on WBLS 107.5 from 10 a.m. to 11. You'll hear the message. You'll feel the energy. You'll be involved. You won't be sitting around talking about, oh my God, look at what's happening. You'll be involved in dealing with what's happening.
I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. Let's go right to the phone. Let's go to Ray in Cincinnati, Ohio, the Buzz. Ray?
Yes, sir. Thanks for taking my call, Rev. Rev, I'm going to bring up just a few items. When it came to this ICE agent that murdered that young lady,
right,
he put his other agents in harm's way because he shot, and it almost seemed like the one of the agents kind of ducked for fear of a ricochet. I don't know if anybody ever brought that up, but that was the one that was standing back. He kind of ducked, and I'm wondering how many shots did that police officer shoot into that windshield.
I think they said 2 or 3, but again, I think what's troubling is that they're talking about the FBI are solely going to investigate the situation. Well, why is that? Why it happened in the state of Minnesota? Why don't they want the FBI and the state to investigate? Oh, that's right, because Keith Ellison is the attorney general there who prosecuted the George Floyd case successfully. And if they keep it to the FBI, it is under the federal government under Donald Trump and Kristi Noem.
Yeah, and actually, that was my next point, because any ICE agent can just come into any city, shoot someone, just murder someone. It doesn't even have to be that case. Then local police are just saying, well, because he's federal, he can't be arrested. That doesn't make sense. But I'm hoping that your guest, Jenny Jones, will come in and answer a lot of legal questions when she's on. But a couple more things, Rev. This protest, when that lady was shot, you had a doctor saying, I'm a doctor.
Right.
I need to render aid.
On video. And that was video. He ran up and said, I'm a physician. And they say, I don't care what you are, back up, and wouldn't let him get to her. And who knows if he could have saved her or not. They didn't even allow it. That showed you where their minds were in terms of the value of human life.
Yeah, and I'm hoping, Rev, the next, unless Donald Trump pardons all these ICE agents, the next administration will take a look into this. because that guy shouldn't go scot-free after what everybody saw. He should not go scot-free, you know. And so,
well, I tell you this, Ray, the danger of him going scot-free is that other ICE agents will feel that they are enabled and can do whatever they want to do and nothing's going to happen to them. Now, there has been already situations. It's not the first one. This has been the most well covered. And if this is not held accountable, that's why we started the marches around police brutality and racial profiling. Because if you don't stop it, everybody is going to do it that's in ICE or in whatever else you're trying to control from getting across the line of what is not only legal, but right and moral. I think I said on one of the shows, these are moral issues. I mean, to just think, stop and think about this. Step back a minute. A man is going to, because he has on a uniform, just shoot at an unarmed woman because she cranked up the car or something that he thinks she shouldn't have done. No threat to him, and just shoot twice, shoot in the head. How immoral is that? How sick is that?
Yeah, but let me bring up something no one's talked about. And this happens a lot, and a lot of these cops go free because of it. He was the only one that did the shooting, right? The one that actually killed the lady, he was the only one that did the shooting, right?
Right.
So you had the other two cops there. Why didn't they shoot?
Right.
You know, that's my thing is you got three cops there and only one shot, and this goes on all the time. You get about 4 or 5 cops on a scene, and it could be an unarmed black man, and only one shoots. But why didn't the other 3 shoot, or the other 2 shoot? So apparently they felt like their life wasn't in danger because they didn't shoot.
Right.
You know, the guy's whose hand was in her car, you know, he didn't shoot.
Which is why you need, Ray, a external from the feds investigation so that all of those other police will have to be subpoenaed and questioned as not only why you didn't shoot, what did you see? Did you feel you were in danger? Do you feel that the man your fellow ICE agent was in danger? All of that. That may not happen if the feds don't want their testimony, and they just don't go to them. And they will say, we're investigating, and come back in 6 months and say, we found nothing. Or they'll go to a grand jury, and the grand jury say we have nothing because they didn't give them enough. That's the danger of this.
Yeah, and then some reporter, Tony DeCopo, he asked, I guess his name is Tom Holman, the borders are, ever since ICE was deployed in any city, Tony asked him, do you see anything that the ICE had done anything wrong at all since they've been deployed on any of them? He said no. That's a problem in itself.
Big problem.
All right.
Thank you for your call. Let me go to Brother Jacob in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The word, Brother Jacob.
Peace be unto you, Reverend Al, and to your worldwide audience. And Reverend Al, this is one time I could say, like they said in the Chicago, I think it was the Democratic Convention, when they was beating them and they was hollering, the whole world's watching. Well, we can say the whole world's watching this. You know, Reverend Al, our president is acting more like Putin and a dictator every day. You know, Putin with Ukraine. I feel like I want to take this sovereign people's land. And I'm going to do it by might, right? Here, Trump, he talking about Cuba, Greenland, Venezuela, Nicaragua. And are you kidding me? Acting just like a evil dictator, right? And Reverend Al, I ask the question, are we tired of people telling us that we didn't see what we saw? From the Epstein files to yesterday, right? You mean to tell me we don't see these ICE agents today acting like the SS brown shirt officers of Nazi Germany, right? We see them doing that, inflicting fear on people, right? Now you take, just yesterday, they turned the food chain upside down. They turned everything upside down. January 6th, that woman was killed, and I don't condone no life being lost. But she was breaking and breaching the Capitol and the safety of and she was shot. They called her a martyr. The woman yesterday was just probably, I'm an American citizen. I'm probably tired from going to work. I don't want to be bothered. Get out of my way. Let me go. And she gets shot to death. They call her a domestic terrorist, man. So now, Reverend, now we should fear exercising our First Amendment rights, huh? So we should start being scared. Oh, you can't press. Remember, we had a president in his first term that asked General Milley, can't we just shoot him in the leg?
Yeah, I think that you raise an excellent point. People forget, and when you say acting like brown shirts, the part of that I assume you are talking about is where they could do whatever they wanted to do and not be held accountable to the rule of law. We're not saying that they got the burning of the death camps like the brown shirts had or anything like that. We're saying that once you allow any form of law enforcement to do whatever they want to do and then lie about it, that is reminiscent of them. And I think it's important that we understand that now we're seeing within 2 weeks them go in, take a head of state out against international law, say openly, Trump is saying openly, I'm going to deal with the oil, sell it and deal with it our way. And a week later, a white 37-year-old mother shot cold blood in Minneapolis, no threat, and Trump and Norm come out and say she was rioting, and the man did it in self-defense when there are videotapes that establish that is not happening. This all happened in the next 2 weeks. So all of you out there that voted for Trump or that didn't vote saying there was no difference between Trump and Kamala Harris, why don't you call me now and explain to me how Kamala Harris would have done this or allowed this? I mean, come on. I got 1, 2, 3. I got about.
Thank you, Reverend. Now
I got about 7 people on. I got 2 lines open. Call me now. Explain to me why you didn't vote. Because it wasn't going to make a difference. I mean, at least I understand. Some people frustrated with the Democrats. I am. But at least be honest enough to say, yeah, maybe I should have, at least out of defense, made sure we wasn't in this position. Even if out of offense, I don't think the Democrats was doing enough. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
Stop going through your life like you are a co-star or a bit player in your own drama. No, you are the main star. You're the central figure in your life. What you decide is what is the major thrust of your life. And others may contribute, impact, affect, but it's your life that you're central in. So stop trying to lay the weight of what you do or don't do on others. That weight is squarely on your shoulders and in your hand. And if you want to defer and give your life choices to others, that's on you. If they have any sense at all, they will be so busy trying to conduct and properly guide their life, they will not have time to try to major in your life. I thank God I was blessed to have both in my life, both historic, strong figures. But if I misused them and listened to not only figures that are not as historic as them, but figures that had nothing to do with the calling and purpose of my life, I would live confused. I'd be double-minded. I'm clear. And what I want you to do is be clear. Clear on who you are and why you are. And a lot of that will be exposed to you and others by who you are around and who you allow to enter your head. Keep people at a distance that only have a distant and unclear vision of who you are and who you are supposed to be. They could be your blood relatives, but they could not be the ones that accompany you toward what you ought to be about tonight. Everybody good to you ain't good for you. Everybody that makes you laugh sometimes end up making you a joke.
It's been a long time coming, but I'm
1968, Dr. Martin Luther King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of National Action Network to always, in the month he was killed, to let them know they killed the dreamer.
Because I have a dream today.
They can't kill the dreamer. Some of you forget where you come from and forget how you got there and act like you got there because you were qualified or that you had a good resume. But some of us had to pay a price for your resume to even be read. Some of us had to take nights in jails and licks upside the head or shut out of boardrooms like Byron so you could walk down red carpets and act like you got there by yourself. So I received this award with a special place in my heart and on my shelf because I'm getting it from a freedom fighter who never forgot where he came from and how he got there. Yes, we've come a long way. We've had now a black president and now a black vice president. But we still can get shot down and have to march to get a case in court. We still can get shut out of boardrooms. We're still doubly unemployed in a good economy. So we're gonna have to keep marching. And I thank not only my family, a mother that raised me by herself, but I thank that lady at the end of the march that knows she won't be on TV that night and knows her name will never be in the paper, but she believed in me enough to get at the end of the line and make me look good. Because Dr. King used to say, if you call a march and no one shows up, you just going for a walk. And I want to thank those that marched with me. 32 years ago, here in Los Angeles, we marched. And then many years later, with George Floyd and others, we're still marching. And I'm going to keep marching. I'm going to keep agitating. And I'm going to keep going. Until we don't have to do it anymore. Eddie, known you a long time. Mariah, Chris, and your kids. And I promise you this. The only thing that I really live for is I get up with this dream that every bigot, every racist, everyone in this country that hates will say, damn, he's up again. Hello, New Orleans. Let me tell you straight. They did not think we could come and be here tonight. They cut budgets and advertising. But one black man, Rich Newton, has said, I don't care. My families come together every 4th of July weekend, and Essence will happen, because that's who we are. Give a big hand to Rich Newton for bringing us back. Because the essence of who we are is essential to what made this nation. We built this nation. We made this nation. We created the essential dollars that this nation lives off of. We don't care what bill they pass. We will not back up. We will not back down. We will not give in. We will not be chased out. We don't care who's in the White House. We will organize our house, house by house. We came over the Middle Passage. We survived slavery. We survived Jim Crow. Don't you give up now. Don't you turn back now. Stand up, black man. Stand up, black woman. Reclaim your dignity. Reclaim your place. So we stand with the Global Black Economic Forum. We stand with Essence Magazine because that's who we are. So don't give in now. Yes, it's some rough days, but we've been through rougher days than this. Yes, Trump is a bad dude, but we beat badder dudes than Trump. So let's party with a purpose, because our rhythm and our music reminds us who we are, because we can smile through our pain and organize for our gain. Let's stand up and let's celebrate who we are. Thank you, God bless you.
You're live.
Okay, I'm here.
You're live, sir.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back 1-877-532-5797. Let's go back to the phones, and I see the message board is lit up, and I need to know that y'all are really watching what's going on. Give me some sign. The Democracy.Fund said Epstein didn't invent the elite abuse networks. He exposed how long they've existed. The real scandal isn't just individual monsters, but the infrastructure of silence that protects powerful men. And he's talking about Epstein, how now they're coming out saying they've got 2 million documents and it takes time to release. And all of this is, I agree with Brian, that these are webs to protect the elite and the rich. Can you imagine a poor person accused of running a organization to molest and violate underage women, and you had to go through all their documents all these years, and they mysteriously die in jail. I mean, just put somebody making $30,000 a year in Epstein's shoes and see if they get this kind of stuff. Yeah, right. Brother Jacob in Philadelphia, word.
Refresh.
I think all right, I'm with you now. I had not refreshed my computer with the new calls. A lot of callers today, so let me go right back to the phone. Let me go to Mustafa in Cincinnati, Ohio, the Buzz. Mustafa.
Hey, good afternoon, Reverend Al.
Good afternoon.
You know, man, we had some deeply troubled times. You know, I remember many years ago when Dr. King and the SCLC used to conduct classes on how to conduct yourself when you're out and about and when you're participating within the movement protest. The Freedom Riders had to go through a series of tests on how to de-escalate and not respond to the violence that they were going to face. I think people at home need to really begin to understand and learn how to de-escalate a situation with the police. The first thing is to comply. To comply the best you can. Embrace yourself because the police may pummel you. When that officer approached that car violently,
the average person don't know how to respond to that, but the police. You go into defense mode. And right now, you got J.D. Vance on MS Now talking about the officer acted in self-defense.
Yeah.
He's out here trying to sell it. They are actually selling it.
Oh yeah.
Now the greater picture is the state gonna charge this guy?
Well, the greater picture is the greater picture than that is not is the state gonna charge the guy. Can the state charge the guy if they're saying the federal government? Listen to what I said carefully. The federal government through the FBI is saying they are solely, this is the language they used this morning, going to investigate the case, which means they're banning the state from investigating. Like I said, the state attorney general's Keith Ellison, black mother, a Muslim brother, who took the case of George Floyd. We got Governor Walz. A lot of people forget history, and this ain't but 5 years ago. When George Floyd happened, and the family called in Ben Crump and me in. People were rioting, gonna burn down Target and all that. We said the family don't want that. We locked into the Governor Walz, who just announced he's not running again, who ran as the running mate for Kamala Harris. Got him on the phone. I talked to Walz and said, we need a special prosecutor. This local DA in Minneapolis will not be fair with investigating the policeman. And he said, what are you talking about, Reverend? I said, let the Attorney General do it, Keith Ellison. He said, let me think about it. I'll call you back. I had talked to Ellison. I think some others had talked. Ellison called me 3 hours later and said he just appointed me over the case. That's how we got the prosecution of George Floyd. If we had left it to the wrong investigator, I do not believe they would have indicted them cops, less known one. Those police in jail today. A lot of what happens in these cases is who handles the investigation and the prosecution. You're right to go there, Mustafa.
We got to keep the heat on. Got to keep the heat on, man. I'll catch you next time.
All right, then. Thank you for your call. Let me go to Rick in Germany. Rick, how's it look from Europe over there? What's going on?
Brother man, yesterday I called you and I was in the middle of fasting, and it's been about 12 days now, fasting trying to purge this intestinal parasite. But I didn't hear your response. I didn't hear your response to my suggestion that the Constitution has been suspended.
I think that my response is that in effect and execution, clearly it has. I don't think there's been an official vote that we're suspending it. But the fact that Donald Trump, as president, and those operating in what's supposed to be the balances of power, legislative, executive, and judicial, has conceded it and are doing things that are clearly against the Constitution, I think it is de facto been suspended, yes.
Let me say in closing that this woman, Miss Good, if she attempted to move that car with a police officer standing in front of and to the side, they're going to consider her a threat and not worthy of any consideration. I'm done, brother man.
All right, thank you for your call. The fact of the matter is we had a video. There was no policeman in front of her. In fact, she had backed up, and the policeman on the side shot. But according to the laws, and we had several law enforcement officials on this morning when I was on Morning Joe. According to the laws, they're not supposed to get in front of a moving car. They are not police. They have no jurisdiction over vehicles. They're ICE agents. The thing that is not being even discussed here is she could not have been suspected as being an illegal immigrant. She is a 37-year-old white woman. So they were not after her because of they felt they had apprehended somebody that shouldn't have been in the country, and he was not in front of the car. But they were after her for other reasons. There had been some protests or some people that were saying, why are y'all doing this? Whatever the reason was, they did not have the legal right to do it, nor did they have in my view of the tapes that have been released, they did not have anything that made him feel he was in danger. Now, if the FBI, since they're investigating the case, or the feds have another tape, you would have thought they'd have put it out by now. We're in the second day of seeing the tape that private citizens took. Don't forget now. This woman, there's not a tape in her car. These are private citizens from outside taping, just like happened with Rodney King, later with Eric Garner and other things. Let me go to Tommy in Chicago, Illinois. Tommy.
Good afternoon to you, Reverend Sharpton.
Good afternoon.
And I just want to say to the American people, and especially to you, thank you. I mean, Rev, it's not a conspiracy. These are facts. And Rev, it's not just your opinion. And some of these individuals think they're clever enough to get you to say something. This is what's going on in Chicago. The historic WVON radio station, founded by Purvis Spann, headed by Melody Spann Cooper and Pierre Cooper, is under attack. I mean, Rev, you have to hear it for yourself, so that I am not sitting up and talking nonsense. But here's one thing, Rev, that is crystal clear. I don't know why you have to keep saying to people, except for I do know why. Rev, do you not recognize and understand? I don't mean it like that, Rev. Your eyes will see things that your mind will never comprehend. So much, Rev, you will go your entire life and you know you saw it. Your mind knows you saw it. But you will believe a lie.
Yeah.
And for anyone to go under the assumption that whatever the narrative is now, skip what we've seen, that this was domestic terrorism, what in God's name was January the 6th?
Yeah.
How did 1,500 individuals escape prosecution for the attempted takeover of the greatest country on the... See, Rev, they don't even recognize how great this country is because, you know why, Reverend? Because all the damage is done somewhere else. Go in these other countries and ask them how it feels to be sitting up over at some cafe and they do one of them so-called surgical strikes. Anytime you won't listen, I'm going to close, Rev, because you don't need me. You don't need nobody. Nobody needs to be talking right now. Because in the immortal words of Ambassador Andrew Young, who was on Miss Dorothy Tillman's show, he said that nothing was more horrifying that he was in the room, not around the corner, not coming to the scene, not talking about what he heard on TikTok, Facebook, or any other lesson. Now, he said nothing took him to his core than the decision that the black people of this generation has made. But he believed, as I do, as I'm telling you now, the most fierce animal on the face of the earth is the bear. You do not go into his lair. When he wakes, he will kill any and everything. And the thing that protects the young from that voracious killer is the female, the greatest creation on the face of the earth. And we allow men to take the rights of women. Look where we are now. I think amen goes right there, Rev. Love you, Doc. Give them hell.
All right. Thank you, son. Let's take our break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
Every step I take, you will be there. Every step I make, be together. Every step I take, you will be there. Every step I make, be together. Every step I take.
Whew. Thank you so much. I was thinking I was going to prepare a speech, but I can't read those things anymore. Name's Babyface, not Baby Body. But I wanted to, you made me sound so good with those words. I was like, that was me? I was like, when I look at my life and I think of the music and everything that I've done, I used to say that I don't know where it came from. I don't know where the words come from. I don't know where the music comes from. I don't know how I got here where I am, but that's not true. God got me here. This is and it becomes more clear to me every day that's why I'm here. And I don't even know how I ended up standing here, except for the fact that I ran into Al at the Essence. He was walking in the room, and I said, I got to go say hello. And he said, I want to honor you. And I was like, really? He goes, yeah, I want to honor you. I said, really? Yep. And here I am standing here, and I can thank you. I always wanted to do this, Michael. I love you too. I'm sorry. But I think of moments like this, I can't help but just think of how proud my mom would be for me standing here. I have to say that just to be standing here and to be invited by Al Sharpton, and I want you guys to really think about this man who invited me here and how he has been fighting the fight for us all of these years. I don't think we give him enough credit. I don't think we give him enough love. Sometimes you just get used to people and you think, well, that's just Al. No. He's more than that. I want y'all to give him really love. Come on, let's give him. It's very true. Because I can remember times, I'm 67 years old, I can remember times in Indianapolis, Indiana. Yeah, it's true, I'm 67. And I can remember times in Indianapolis when I was growing up, and there were places when, before I was 5 years old, that I could not go to because I was black. And I remember how civil rights, how that changed everything for me and for my life, and that I'm standing here today because of all of those changes. And I was able to do the kind of music that I do and do everything because those things happened. And so for me to accept an award like this, because I've never gotten an award like this before. And so I really appreciate it, and I'm just so thankful, and I thank my mom for giving me the sense to always be humble with my life, and to never think that it's all about me, and so like I said, I didn't prepare a speech. I always just wanted to speak from my heart, and I'm speaking from my heart, and I want to tell you once again, Al Sharpton, you are a blessing to us all, and I thank you for inviting me for this, and thank you so much. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
797. And let me say that we are dealing with a plethora of issues, and none is more equipped and better to deal with it in terms of the policy and legalize than Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin, co-chair of the vice chair of the National Action Network's National Board and the CEO of the Protestant Welfare Agencies in New York. And Jenny is on our line. Jenny, we have a lot to discuss, a lot of questions. I see that there are peaceful demonstrations going on in Minneapolis, and I see that there are some on the other side that are supporting Trump and supporting, and they're much smaller numbers, I might add, but are supporting the ICE agent that killed Miss Good. I certainly think that Miss Good was a victim of unnecessary and excessive force at the least. But first and foremost, and I want you to address this, the fact that now the FBI said they'll be the sole investigators, and the Justice Department said they will investigate the shooting. Is that not concerning, being that Kristi Noem, the head of Homeland Security, and Donald Trump, President of the United States, both tweeted last night that Good was a rioter and this was self-defense? Does that not prejudice the federal government to be the sole investigators here when the head of the federal government, who appointed all of them, have already stated what he believes to be the facts? Do we have Jenny?
I'm right here with you, sir. Can you hear me?
I hear you now.
I'm
yeah.
right here.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Good to be with you. And I just want to say you're absolutely right. And what's playing out here is, we're going to get into, I guess, what we call, this is good old Trump, at Trump's best. It's how do you manipulate the systems and the structures that have been in place to serve as checks and balances for the entire existence of this country since the Constitution was created. All of these checks and balances, the separation of powers, it's all just kind of been cast aside, and so this should be an investigation by the state. But local authorities should be included as well, and the federal government. This was a citizen, a resident and citizen of Minnesota. ICE agents don't have complete and absolute immunity. This is a situation where she was killed in the state of Minnesota. And so to just immediately say that the state Minnesota, I think they call it the border and the BCP, the Border Control, can't remember the exact title, but that agency cannot engage. What you're doing is you're setting up the case and the facts or telling the story in the way that you want to. We've seen this time and time again. It's no different than when essentially they try to, bring a case against Letitia James and against James Comey. Like, it's an effort where you try to manipulate the systems and the structures to tell the story that you want to tell. Remember when they went after Letitia James, they withheld certain information that they should have from the grand jury to try to sway the grand jury to bring about the indictment. This is what they do. And so when you are isolating, excluding, keeping out the state and the local governments from being a part of the investigation, you're going to try to manipulate the evidence that is presented, the conducting of the investigation, the videos that you're going to use and the like, so as to be able to tell your story. So yes, sir, I'm sorry I'm long-winded, but it's just very disturbing because it's par for the course. It's what they do. They manipulate these systems of checks and balances to work against the American people.
Now, Once, let's stop right there for a minute before I proceed. From what you observed of the videotape, what are the possible, I'm not saying for you to try the evidence, but what are the possible laws that the assailant broke, and what are the possible defenses do you feel that they can try to raise given what we've seen of the footage? I can't hear Jenny.
I'm not sure what's going on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I hear you.
Sir?
For whatever reason,
Okay,
I couldn't
I'm not
hear
sure
you.
what's going on.
Okay.
Well, I begin with, suggesting that she was engaged, that she was a domestic terrorist. What they're trying to say is that she was part of some criminal activity as a domestic terrorist. Well, they've got to prove that there was some crime being committed. They're only making assertions. There was no crime. So say there was a crime being committed. Then you might be able to say that she was trying to leave the scene of a crime. But there was no crime that she actually proved, right? So that's number one. Then they're trying to assert that she was essentially using her vehicle to essentially assault an officer. They don't have any evidence of that. So there was no leaving the scene of a crime, even though they want to assert that. Now, on the flip, even if she was, the protocol, the training that they are to engage in is to not shoot into the vehicle. This was a nonviolent activity. So then let her move. Catch her license plate and do a run on a license plate and go to her. But you fire directly into the car. So what they're going to try to say is that he was acting in self-defense, that this ICE agent was acting in self-defense. But they're going to have to see that what they're concerned about is that if they can't control the narrative, if they can't control the evidence, then they're going to have to prove, well, what act did she engage in that amounted to self-defense? That's why they're trying to control the investigation and the evidence that they would bring forward in any case if it ever further developed.
And the fact that we are seeing these tapes, I remind our audience, is that these were taken by civilians, neighbors that were there. This was not taken by ICE or the federal government. So they have been taken aback. I'm sure when Kristi Noem and Donald Trump made the initial statements, they did not know there were these tapes available. And that's why when I was on several shows on this, I brought people back to Rodney King. If this white guy had not taped Rodney King's beating, they'd have said Rodney King was the biggest liar in the world, and we'd still be trying to prove it. Let's take a break. I'm going to open up the phones. 1-877-532-5797. Sharpton. Jones Austin. Keeping it real. Be right back. Our theme this year is we're going to straighten out tricks in 26. Straighten out tricks in 26. All the tricks is over. Changing the voting line. Straighten out tricks in 26. Selling us product but don't give us our diversity, equity, and engagement and inclusion. Straighten out tricks in 26. The tricks is over. It's fighting time. It's stand-up time. It's correcting time. Do I seem excited? I am excited because this Saturday, the National Action Network Saturday Action Rally starts live on WBLS 107.5 FM in New York. We're going to expand. Every Saturday morning, we're live on WBLS 107.5 from 10 a.m. to 11. You'll hear the message. You'll feel the energy. You'll be involved. You won't be sitting around talking about, oh my God, look at what's happening. You'll be involved in dealing with what's happening. I'm excited, and you should be excited too. Turn on WBLS 10 a.m. every Saturday morning. I have a message for you, and if you want to, you can come to the House of Justice and be there live.
145th Street and Lenox Avenue. We kick off at 9, and we don't stop until we deal with getting our people energized.
One, two, three, I got the feeling. Hey, baby, baby, I got the feeling. Oh, I got that feeling, yeah. Hey, 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 got that feeling, y'all. Come on. Feeling, baby. Oh, I got the feeling, y'all. Can you put your hands together? I got the feeling. Oh, won't you say, baby, baby, I got that. Baby, oh, feeling, baby. Oh, hey, hey, oh, baby, 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 baby. Come on, sing it out, baby, baby. Come on. Can't hear you. Hey, hey. I got that. Thank you so much. My name is True Osborne. Humbled and honored. All right.
Knew love like this before, 'cause I never knew love like this before.
Sounds so good. That was beautiful. Thank you, everyone. I am humbled and grateful to be here with you tonight. I love you too. I love you too. It seems like I've known Reverend Al Sharpton all my life. My mom was such a fan of his, and I've seen him through my life in LA at MCA Records. When I was there, he'd come through, you know, and get those people straight about our contracts and talk about that. And I haven't been honored a lot. Maybe this is my second time, and I'm 68 years old. And I've been in this business my entire life. I've never done what you would call a real job. But I am truly honored, and I'm thankful, and I love us. I love my black people. And I fight for us, and I want the women, the black women, to really know their worth. Know that they're queens. That's important to me. That's how my mother raised me. My mother was militant, I guess, when it wasn't trendy, yes. Because when I was a little girl, my mother and father would drive in Brooklyn. I'm from Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, do or die. And when she would see police officers handling black children or a black boy or a girl, she would have my father stop and say, she'd get out of the car and she'd say, "What's going on here? Wait a minute, what you doing?" all the time. So it's natural that I'm that way because I'm so tired of seeing our black men beaten with handcuffs. They have handcuffs on. That's important to me. That's my fight. I want love in this world. We're living in some, I love you, I love you. I never knew love like this before. I can't sing because we just finished doing 3 shows back to back. And I flew in this morning and because Reverend Al wanted me to sing home. There's no way I could sing home, but okay. When I think of home, I think of a
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is our co-host, as she is every Thursday for the last 90 minutes of the show. Let's go back to the phones, Jenny, and let's go to Deborah in Atlanta, Georgia. You're keeping it real with Sharpton and Jones Austin.
Hi, Reverend Sharpton. Wow, I love speaking to you. I love to also speak to intelligent black women to get their opinion. So I'm going to say something, and I feel like I'm in the calm after the storm. So what I saw from the very first time when I saw the murder, I saw the other ICE agent throw his hands up on his head in disbelief, jump down off the truck in a motion to go towards her to help her. And the other ICE agent kind of pushed him back. To me, I feel like this was planned. You don't have to say something, people, to plan something. You can give people a certain look. You can work a certain type of way. You can know how a person moves to have something planned. He pushed that other ICE agent back and stopped that ICE agent from helping her also. Because that when he first shot, you can see that ICE agent, he was up on a truck. He grabbed his head in disbelief. He jumped down off that truck, and he was headed in that direction. And that other ICE agent held him back and like, no, don't go help her. The difference is also he was not afraid for his life. First of all, he didn't shoot her one time. He shot her in the head. He shot her in the face. And you can even see him still shooting as the car was going to the side. He murdered her. And he murdered her with hatred, and he murdered her with anger. Whatever she did or whatever was happening before that scene, that's what they wanted to do. And I understand when people say about don't do certain things because of martial law. I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't care about martial law. I do not. What else can we put up with? How worse can it get? We have a president without people saying, I know this radio station out there, he is a pedophile. They're hiding that paperwork. He took that lady out of prison and put her someplace else to keep her mouth shut. He killed Epstein. They killed Charlie Kirk. No autopsy, people. These are not things that are made up. This is what we're dealing with. He's killing people on boats. When people are just holding on to the boat to say we surrender, they're killing them in cold blood. Okay? This is what we're dealing with. Why do we care about martial law?
When you say why do we care about martial law? Define what you mean by martial law, because I may have a different understanding. When you say why do we care about martial law, what are you saying?
I'm saying that we have enough family, friends, neighbors in the military that do not agree with this president of the United States of America.
And?
I'm saying that he does not have all the control that he thinks he has. That when he told them to go to, what did he tell them, go to Chicago and use Chicago as, what did he say, as dummies, as target practice, the military pulled back. When he pulled our generals and our sergeants and our top people of the military to this meeting, they pulled back.
So you're saying when you say, why do we care about martial law, you're saying that we should pull back and not do things that are detrimental to our community? Is that, because I'm confused on how you're using the term martial law.
Okay. I'm saying that we have to stand up. I'm saying that we have to recognize that we are at war in America. I'm saying that the Trump administration is committing treason against Americans. That's what I'm saying. It's clear. We are in clear present danger of the president of the United States.
But how do you define martial law, Deborah? You said that we should not.
When martial law comes, they come into the city, kind of like what ISIS is trying to do. They come in, basically tell you have to be in the house at a certain time. You can't go out. You can't do that, and all these types of things.
Right.
I'm saying what I said from the jump. Governors govern states. The major mistake that the governors did in the United States of America is allow Donald Trump to govern the states. If these governors stand up like they're doing in Chicago, like they're doing in California, I love that governor. Governors govern states, not presidents. That's the bottom line. We govern our states. These Republican governors allow Donald Trump to govern their states. And that's how things have gotten out of control.
Okay, so are you saying that we should enact martial law, or that he has enacted martial law? Because martial law, as it's defined, wait a minute, let me finish the question. Martial law, as it's defined, is when they suspend everybody and the military takes over. That's what martial law means by definition. So that's why I'm confusing what you're saying about martial law.
I'm saying he has already enacted it, but he is not using our military because he knows our military is against him. When he put ICE out here, the things that they are doing are horrendous.
Okay.
They're past martial law.
Well, I think he's used the military in Venezuela.
He did use some of the military, but if you look at some of what they're saying, there are a lot of parts of the military, high ranks, that do not agree with what he did in Venezuela.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So he's turning this country. So yes, he's turning this country against. That's treason. He's turning the country against each other. There are a lot of generals and sergeants and high ranks that do not condone what he did in Venezuela, and it had nothing to do with what he did in Venezuela. There are a lot of them who have quit, who have retired because of the things that he is doing that they don't agree with it. You see, so yes, some of the military did, but a lot of the military did not. A lot of the military did not like when he brought them there for whatever so-called session that he did. He has already enacted martial law on his own, like a king, like a kingdom.
Okay, I got it now. No, you always get me thinking. I understand exactly what you're saying now. Thank you for your call. Let me ask you this, based on that, Attorney Jones Austin. Give me in terms of Venezuela, it is said by many, including me, that international law was broken. Break down for our listeners on this policy day, what is the international law that was violated with the going in and grabbing Maduro and in effect kidnapping him and his wife and bringing them and incarcerating them in the United States?
So, one of the things that I've been looking at and focusing on is the crime of aggression, right? And taking action against a sovereign state. So essentially, you have the United States planning and executing the taking down of another country's leader using aggressive force, and that's a violation of the United Nations Charter. You have but Venezuela, as far as we know, did not look to the federal government of the United States of America and say, we need you to come in here and do this for us. So you had a sovereign state, you had a sovereign country. Venezuela has its own government, it has its own military, and you have the United States that unilaterally decided they were going to come on up in there without having been asked by Venezuela to take down their president. And that's a violation of UN Charter and the rules among the nations that fall under the United Nations and under this charter. It's a crime of aggression.
It's also in light of the fact that he defied the results of an election. So he lost the election, refused to leave, and took over the country. Even the opposition that he was defeated by didn't ask Donald Trump to come in and take over the country.
Right. And let's add that when Donald Trump sent America in there, sent the United States troops in there to do what they did, He didn't turn around and then hand the keys of Venezuela government over to the opposition.
Right. Who were the
He
duly
turned the
elected
keys
people?
over
They were the duly
Yes.
elected. Right.
Right. So this is a crime of aggression, and and the United Nations should seek, I would say, to hold the United States accountable. This president, because here's the deal: once he gets away with this, what did he say? He's now looking at Cuba. He's got his eyes set on
Greenland.
Greenland, yeah. It's insane. But this man, the playbook that Donald Trump has is there are no rules. So let me just, play like there are no rules, and we'll see, what I can get away with. We'll see who's going to stop me. That's the way that he deals.
Let's go to Hakeem in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, on Word. Hakeem.
Yes, sir. Hey, thank you for taking my call, Reverend, and good afternoon to you and your guest, Mrs. Austin. Hey, Reverend, I was just basically wanting to get some clarification and validity on the story that I was looking at, and it was through an Instagram post that Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, when he was shot at the Lorraine Hotel in Memphis, Tennessee, that he was still alive and was actually killed in the hospital by, I guess, the doctors or nurses or whatever like that. And I got this story from, what's this guy name? It's Larry Hoover Jr., the son of Larry Hoover.
Again, I've not seen the story, but let me say that from what I was told by those that were there, Andrew Young, Hosea Williams, and others that took Dr. King's to the hospital. They're the ones that got the ambulance and the police took her to the hospital. They said he was announced dead at the hospital. Now, whether or not that he had died on the balcony at the Lorraine Motel or died at the hospital, I don't think they could say because they were not doctors. They say he appeared dead when they took his body off the balcony, but he was pronounced dead. He was not pronounced dead at the scene. He was pronounced dead at the hospital. Now, the whole thing about somebody else at the hospital killed him, I don't know. I can't argue against the writer because I've never heard that.
Yeah, and it is nothing. It's nothing like concrete evidence to say, and so that's why I'm not going to. That's why I just was thinking. Let me call the rep because he would know. I know Reverend Jackson was there, so you know folks who was there.
Yeah, I've known it. I've talked to people down through the years. Dr. King was my hero. I was youth director in New York. I wasn't there. I was only 12 years old. But I've never heard them say the doctors and nurses killed him. Now, again, I can't refute it because I don't know what the evidence is if this writer has that. But you did the right thing. Check things. Thank you for your call. Let's take a break. Be right back. Sharpton, Jones Austin. Be right back.
they're changing what can be taught. You have states outright saying you can't teach Black history and you can't teach certain other histories and the curriculum. You have this administration that is literally taking out exhibits from the Smithsonian. So we have not only an education problem in terms of resources, we have an education problem in terms of curriculum and what people are being taught. So I have one grandchild, 6-year-old. When he gets to high school, it may be just against the law for him to learn about certain parts of American history, which includes Blacks. We want to talk about slavery. We want to talk about the good side of America. Well, what does that mean? That's not history. Everything was not good. And I think that that is the threat that we've got to fight, which is why we've got to fight in the courts and the streets, because they are literally changing the textbooks as we go. As they do that, they change the opportunities, because then the fight against affirmative action is not having access to these institutions and telling these institutions, this whole fight around DEI, in which they may be at, started in Harvard with a Black woman president. Started with them saying you can't teach diversity in an Ivy League school like Harvard. It didn't start in Little Rock at the high school. This fight, this time, was Harvard. And they went from there on. And I think that we've got to have the same resistance. If they could fight in the 50s, the ACP would have been formed together and deal with the question from Little Rock in terms of desegregation. Then we that are far more educated, far more economically secure personally, have no excuse in the age of what they did in Harvard not to be standing up back in the South.
Come on. A lot of our ministry to entertainment. Or who can hoop the loudest? Who can run around the pulpit more? Or who got the dresses fancier? And don't deal with the ministry. Jesus healed more people than he preached to. Because there is in the healing your message. They followed Jesus because he healed a woman with the issue of blood. They followed Jesus because Jesus saw a blind man named Bartimaeus. A lot of us would have dismissed him because he was a broke, poor, homeless, a blind man. How you know he was broke, Reverend? Because they say he was begging. But he understood what he was doing because he heard that Jesus was passing by. And when Jesus got close enough, he said, Jesus, son of David, come see about me. They kept telling Jesus, let's go, look, we got a schedule, we got people to see. He said it again, Jesus, son of David, come see about me. And when he did it the third time, Jesus stopped and went and healed the blind man. Now, what I get out of that scripture, Bishop Daughtry, is that the blind man told Jesus, if you are who you say you are, you're going to stop and see me. And if you stop and see me, you will confirm who you are. But when we are pastoring and leading in communities with bad health, we cannot be the followers and representatives of Jesus and walk by people that are sick and we not be part of making them well.
That I want to end. He talked about the dry bones in the valley.
I'll tell you that.
The only reason that the wind could blow life into the bones is because at some point they had to be connected. If the wind had blown into a disconnected body, it still wouldn't work. So before he prophesied to the wind, they had to first get the foot bone to connect to the ankle bone, and the ankle bone to the calf bone, and to the knee bone, and the knee bone to the thigh bone. If we are to prophesy to the wind, we must first connect this body. We must connect Eddie Long to Farrakhan and Cornel West to Elders and Lowry to Sharpton. If we can connect this body, then God will blow the breath of life into our community. But as long as we are disconnected, the wind can't blow because it's blowing on disconnected dry bones. But the good news is that we're the children of people that have been through worse than this, and we're still here. So even though I get despondent, I don't ever get depressed, because I want the world to know you won't beat us, because we're the children of those that took the worst form of slavery and brutality that ever lived, that ever existed. Our parents survived the Middle Passage. Only the strong got here, and then we lost our name, our culture, our religion, and we're still here. But you don't know who we are. We're the children of Chaka Zulu. We're the children of Mary McLeod Bethune. We're the children of Marcus Garvey. We're the children of Martin Luther King. We'll be here. We were first and we'll be last. We know who we are.
Reverend Al Sharpton, Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is our co-host, as she is every Thursday this hour. Jenny, let me ask you, in terms of both situations that we talked about, and I'm going back to the phone. I see a lot of callers. I'm not ignoring you, but I'm trying to get certain information out. What are the laws that are possibly violated by what we see in the video in Minneapolis? What are the possible laws that could be charged on this officer, this ICE agent? And what are the possible laws that a world court could say the United States and its president, Donald Trump, violated in the abduction and arrest of Maduro?
If we're centering on first the ICE case, what they'll try to say about Renee Good is that she engaged in aggravated assault on a federal officer, that she was attempting to use her vehicle to run over the ICE agent. They're trying to say that she engaged in an act of domestic terrorism, but again, they're not actually saying what she what she did. And then they might try to say that she was essentially like trying to incite some, like, activity, like incite a riot, that she was trying to impede the ICE agents, federal law enforcement officers from doing their job. So those are some of the allegations that I think might come forward against Renee Good, or in defense of the defense that the ICE agent might try to put forward as a defense. Now, laws that he violated, unlawful use of deadly force. They might say that he acted recklessly, that he acted negligently, that, we don't see anything that shows that he was in imminent danger, that he really had to act in self-defense the way that Trump and Noam are suggesting he was. And so that might come out. They might say that he actually committed a homicide. He committed murder. That, essentially he killed this person without any provocation, without any reason. And so there could be a crime of murder that is charged against him. And then lastly, we have to think about her civil rights. She has a civil right to assemble peacefully, to, protest. She has the right to, to make, to inquire into perhaps violations of other people. So it might be the case that they turn around and say that, there was a violation of this person's civil rights, of Renee Good's civil rights. So that's where I would go there. On Venezuela, I come back to that this was an act of aggression, that there was no legal basis for him invading Venezuela, that, the United States was not a threat, and that, essentially he acted on his own and, went against a sovereign country, a sovereign entity, and violated the United Nations Charter. It'd be an international law violation. Now, within the United States, they're trying to say this was law enforcement, but it was really an act of war, and Congress has the authority to declare war. He didn't go to Congress to get approval to do so. And so, not that, currently with the Republican-controlled Congress, you won't necessarily see any charges against him for that. But he did violate United States rule. He's taken on an act of war. He's now essentially seized control of a foreign country, saying he's going to run the country, that we're going to be in there indefinitely. He's seizing the oil. So these are actions that are, essentially an invasion of another state, of another country's, sovereignty, and then he's actually declared war in some respects. And one could assert that he has done so without the authority because it wasn't given him by Congress. Now, we do know he's very angry with some GOP party leaders right now because they have voted with some Democrats to essentially put forth a resolution restricting his actions without congressional authority when it amounts to engaging in an act of war or war-related activities.
Let's go to Sly in Detroit, Michigan. Sly.
Good afternoon, Reverend Sharpton and Madam Jones Austin Esquire.
Hello.
I first want to just give a gentle but brotherly pushback to the sister that called from Georgia when she said she didn't care about martial law. You have to understand that this Mango Messiah that's in the White House right now, he's trying to agitate and instigate unrest across the country so that he can declare the nation unstable. And yes, governors govern states, but understand this. November is a federal election, which would entitle him, or think he's entitled, to suspend the federal election. So you'll be able to vote for your governors or whatever. But as far as your House and your Senate, you won't be able to vote for them because he is afraid that when we fill the House with Democrats, then they can impeach him And then under those articles of impeachment, they can impeach him for treason. And once that is done, out goes the entire Trump administration, which may lead to a special election. So that is his fear. So you have to be mindful, and you have to care about martial law being imposed across this nation for the next.
I think, and
year.
I'll let you finish. I think that's why I questioned, and she's a very bright person, calls a lot, always on point. But I questioned saying I don't care about martial law, because if martial law comes in, then he has an argument that martial law is in, we're not under the law, therefore I must stay in as president until we can stabilize the country. Because martial law means the military is in charge. There are no laws, there are no rules. We're under martial law. We do what we're told. And that's why I don't know if she was using it in a way that she didn't understand, but that's what martial law is.
Right.
And that's what he wants.
I do not question her intelligence, because I've heard her many times, and she said some very intelligent things.
Right.
But we can't allow our feelings to get in the way to where we give this man a reason to declare this nation unstable and do the dastardly deeds that he wants to do.
If you remember, and you're right, just 5 years ago, be 6 years this March, when George Floyd was killed in that very city in Minneapolis. And I remember when I went out there 2 days later at the request of the family, we're in the middle of COVID. And some people rioting, burning down. I think it was Target was one of the stores they wanted to burn down, or did start burning down. And Trump said, don't let me have to go to martial law. If the looting starts, the shooting starts. And I think that that's what they would like to see here, so they could suspend some things due to martial law. Because then they can just come in and do what they want with National Guard, all of that. What they don't want is the due process of seeing where this was violation of law. That's also why I think, Jenny, they want to keep this in the FBI and not have the state, not have any other agency involved in this, because they know if law is applied, which is the opposite of it being going to martial law, they can be held accountable.
You are 1,000% correct. Now, now about the shooting yesterday, me being in law enforcement, impeding traffic or blockading a moving lane of traffic, that is a civil infraction. That is a traffic violation.
Right.
ICE is not qualified to do traffic stops nor enforce traffic laws. Okay, they can't write a ticket. Okay, so if you can't write a ticket, you definitely can't shoot on a simple traffic offense. And that guy had no business putting himself in the way. And I'll give you an example. I'm sure you've been pulled over by the police before. If you've been pulled over by a police car with two occupants of the police car, one is going to walk up to your door and request your license, registration, and insurance.
Right.
The passenger is not going to walk up and stand in front of your car to make sure that you don't flee just in case you don't have a license.
Right. That's right.
Follow me? So that's a fine example right there. That was uncalled for. That was unjust.
Absolutely. I agree with you.
Okay.
Thank you
Take
for
care.
your
Have a
call.
good one.
Let me take my break. I'm coming back to more on the phone. 1-877-532-5797. Sharpton, keeping it real. Be right back.
It's been a long time coming, but I know
1968, Dr. Martin Luther King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of National Action Network to always, in the month he was killed, to let them know they killed the dreamer.
I have a dream today.
They can't kill the dreamer. Some of you forget where you come from and forget how you got there and act like you got there because you were qualified or that you had a good resume. But some of us had to pay a price for your resume to even be read. Some of us had to take nights in jails and licks upside the head or shut out of boardrooms like Byron so you could walk down red carpets and act like you got there by yourself. So I received this award with a special place in my heart and on my shelf because I'm getting it from a freedom fighter who never forgot where he came from and how he got there. Yes, we've come a long way. We've had now a black president and now a black vice president, but we still can get shot down and have to march to get a case in court. We still can get shut out of boardrooms. We're still doubly unemployed in a good economy. So we're gonna have to keep marching. And I thank not only my family, a mother that raised me by herself, but I thank that lady at the end of the march that knows she won't be on TV that night and knows her name will never be in the paper, but she believed in me enough to get at the end of the line and make me look good. Because Dr. King used to say, if you call a march and no one shows up, you just going for a walk. And I want to thank those that marched with me. 32 years ago, here in Los Angeles, we marched. And then many years later, with George Floyd and others, we're still marching. And I'm gonna keep marching, I'm gonna keep agitating, and I'm gonna keep going. Until we don't have to do it anymore. Eddie, known you a long time, Mariah, Chris and your kids. And I promise you this, the only thing that I really live for is I get up with this dream that every bigot, every racist, everyone in this country that hates will say, damn, he's up again.
Hello, New Orleans. Let me tell you straight. They did not think we could come and be here tonight. They cut budgets and advertising, but one black man, Rich Newton, said, I don't care. My families come together every 4th of July weekend, and Essence will happen, because that's who we are. Give a big hand to Rich New Dennis for bringing us back. Why do we come? Because the essence of who we are is essential to what made this nation. We built this nation. We made this nation. We created the essential dollars that this nation lives off of. We don't care what bill they pass. We will not back up. We will not back down. We will not give in. We will not be chased out. We don't care who's in the White House. We will organize our house by house. We came over the Middle Passage. We survived slavery. We survived Jim Crow. Don't you give up now. Don't you turn back now. Stand up, black man. Stand up, black woman. Reclaim your dignity. Reclaim your place. So we stand with the Global Black Economic Forum. We stand with Essence Magazine because that's who we are. So don't give in now. Yes, there's some rough days, but we've been through rougher days than this. Yes, Trump is a bad dude, but we beat badder dudes than Trump. So let's party with a purpose, because our rhythm and who we are. Thank you, God bless you. Keep the dream alive on Wall Street.
Go to Todd in Cleveland, Ohio. Todd. Keeping it real.
Hey, Reverend Al Sharpton, Jennifer Jones, Austin.
Yes, sir.
So Jennifer, I want you to make an argument against the solution for people being pushed in a situation who have SNAP benefits where they can't buy sugary foods, a remedy for it. Can you hear me okay?
You want me to make an argument against?
No,
okay,
I'm going to give you a solution, a remedy that will help this matter.
Okay.
And I want you to make an argument against it. But I wanted to say 5 quick things about this killing in Minneapolis. It should start, with me, it starts with what is the U.S. Code on domestic terrorism. Kristi Noem made the comment against this woman saying that she was a domestic terrorist. That's a quote from Kristi Noem. She also said this woman had been, now I'm paraphrasing, had been disrupting the activities of ICE all day. The crime happened at 9:30 a.m. approximately Central Time. So, okay, whatever qualifies for all day at that time period, according to Kristi Noem. But here's the number for the U.S. Code that I'd like people to look at. It's written in standard elementary English. It's 18 USC. USC stands for United States Code. So 18 USC 2331. That's 2331, and then in parentheses is number 5. I hope that people read that, and then make a decision on what you understand about what domestic terrorism is. 18 USC 2331, and then in parentheses 5. It's on the Federal Bureau of Investigation's website. She also mentioned that the person that shot her, and this is Kristi Noem talking, said that in June this person had been run over to some degree by someone in a vehicle. I don't know what the relevance of that was to this, but if that is the case, and that man was not properly assessed to what degree he was traumatized by that, so that we understand why he overreacted on this, that should be brought up too. But start with the U.S. Code, people, and look and see if you think, on your assessment of elementary English, if that was a violation of domestic terrorism code. So here's my question about the people that are being pushed off of being able to purchase sugary drinks. You and I have had a discussion about people being able to buy hot foods at the hot food stand at grocery stores as being something that's reasonable, because that way they don't have to use up their utilities to buy hot food. And I also mentioned in those conversations that if they were able to buy hot food with their SNAP benefits, their EBT cards, the hot food stands would change. They would become more nutritional because they'd be pulling in more steady money. So my solution to this is that they allow some grocery stores, maybe all, that have hot food stands, the opportunity to get some reduction in their taxes and or subsidize the food from their produce section to sell at their hot food stand that are healthy foods only, and they can put together a list of what qualifies as healthy foods and say that, you buy this with your SNAP card and we're going to give you a reduced price of what it would be because you're buying it in the grocery store, and we're going to get the grocery stores some slack because you're selling it to the people with the SNAP cards. So, okay, they can't buy sugary drinks anymore. They can't buy sugary foods anymore, some. But now we know that they have an easier way to buy healthy foods at an affordable price because they've worked out a deal between the government and the grocery stores to be able to sell it to people and cook it in front of them. What would be the argument against that, whether you believe the argument is righteous or not, in your opinion?
So the argument against allowing them to buy let me back up. I want to make sure I understand what you're saying. You think that they should be able to use their EBT cards to buy hot food at hot food stands because then these at the grocery store, because then the grocers would then maybe offer more nutritious foods.
Absolutely.
And you're thinking is that then that would actually kind of promote less sugary foods being sold as well. That's what you're saying.
I'm also saying that the grocery stores, through an arrangement through the federal government, will be allowed to get a reduction get a write-off on their taxes to some degree because of that, or they'd be able to subsidize doing this particular procedure for those particular people, for those people that are buying it through EBT cards, because you could track the purchases very easily. They're buying their own. The hot food stands don't just get it free. They have a budget, and they can buy from their produce section in that store and maybe from the regular aisles where they need vinegar and olive oil and stuff like that, and then they could buy that and sell the hot food. So the consumer, particularly the people that are using the EBT cards, because they're buying it there, they get it at a little bit lower rate than they would if they were just buying it and taking it out the store and cooking it at their house. Now, there has to be some restrictions on what the qualifiers are. You can't just call it hot. You just can't call it healthy just because you feel that it's healthy. You have to be able to make a strong argument.
Yeah.
But chopped up onions. Go ahead.
I think my bigger argument, what I would be pushing for, is actually the complete elimination of the restriction on the purchase of hot foods, in groceries. And the reason being is that
sugary foods.
Well, I'm starting first with hot foods, right?
Okay, go ahead.
I mean, just to your point, and what I'm saying is that the restriction on hot food purchases is that it's just kind of based on the kind of an antiquated, outdated emphasis on meals being prepared at home. And this thinking that, families need to prepare their meals at home and not have the meals brought in. But that's an old, antiquated way of looking at family, especially when you got people working 2 and 3 jobs, people sometimes don't have the time to bring them the unprepared foods home and do the preparation and the cooking. Now, what I believe is that, maybe the other way that I would come at it is that what is the incentive that might be offered if you're trying to get at the sugar and diet related diseases and clamp down on sugar and diet related diseases? I hear what you're saying, but I think I would probably go another route, and I would figure out, how do you incentivize, make the dollars go farther on EBT cards for less sugary foods? So said differently, like I think that if somebody was, I'm saying if I was driving policy and somebody was getting $300 monthly for SNAP benefits, and I was trying to address diet-related diseases tied to sugar, I might have an incentive where the more that you buy that is not sugary, you might get an additional $15, $20.
And that would be the
I think
incentive.
I do something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for your call, Todd. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton, Jones, Austin. Be right back.
Keep it real. I thank God I was blessed to have both in my life. Both historic, strong figures. But if I misuse them and listen to not only figures that are not as historic as them, but figures that had nothing to do with the calling and purpose of my life, I would live confused. I'd be double-minded. I'm clear. And what I want you to do is be clear. Clear on who you are and why you are. And a lot of that will be exposed to you and others by who you are around and who you allow to enter your head. Keep people at a distance that only have a distant and unclear vision of who you are and who you are supposed to be. They could be your blood relatives, but they could not be the ones that accompany you toward what you ought to be about tonight. Everybody good to you ain't good for you. Everybody that makes you laugh sometimes end up making you a joke. Stop going through your life like you are a co-star or a bit player in your own drama. No, you are the main star. You're the central figure in your life. What you decide is what is the major thrust of your life. And others may contribute, impact, affect, but it's your life that you're central in. So stop trying to lay the weight of what you do or don't do on others. That weight is squarely on your shoulders and in your hand. And if you want to defer and give your life choices to others, that's on you. If they have any sense at all, they will be so busy trying to conduct and properly guide their life, they will not have time to try to major in your life.
Many people cannot focus because they have not really come to terms with their calling and life purpose. In order to focus, you must also be clear on what you're focusing on. So if you're not clear on your purpose, if you're not clear on your life's calling, then focus on seeking that. Because if you just read the ways and roads you traveled that you didn't even choose, that were sort of just laid out for you by God, in that it's telling you, speaking to you about what your purpose is and what you were born to do and be. I learned the things that I didn't plan had to be planned by God,
and God's plan was directed toward God's purpose in my life. And I focus on that. Not focus on what others do, not focus on how well they're doing or bad they're doing, but focus on whether I'm in line and aligned with what I'm supposed to be about. And in order to move straight ahead, you have to be focused on the path you're running on.
This is the first Thanksgiving I'm here in New York. Over 20 years. I'm just glad to be here with Rev today and to hand out the food. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. It's a blessing.
It's Erica Ford, the Peace Doctor in the building. Here at the National Action Network, it's about thanks. It's about giving. It's about gratitude. It's about love. I feel it is important for you to understand that there's work out here to be done, but it starts with gratitude, it starts with giving, it starts with peace, it starts with love. Let's go.
Before we feed our family, we got to make sure that we feed the community. That's right. That's what it's all about. We got to come with Sharpton phones. You come and you make sure you show up, serve the community. That's what it's all about.
Our theme this year is we gonna straighten out tricks in 26. Straighten out tricks in 26. All the tricks is over. Changing the voting line. Straighten out tricks in 26. Selling us product but don't give us our diversity, equity, and engagement and inclusion. Straighten out tricks in 26. The tricks is over. It's fighting time. It's stand-up time. It's correcting time.
King, Dr. Richardson, most of all, let me thank Reverend Al Sharpton for bringing us all here together today. The Urban Action Network. I am proud to be a candidate for the presidency of the United States of America. But I am mindful that I wouldn't be here if it had not been for Reverend Al Sharpton running for president, and Carol Mosley Brown running for president, and Jesse Jackson running for president, and Shirley Chisholm running for president. They paved the way, and I stand on their shoulders.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
I celebrate the day you were born. You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is our co-host. Don't forget, watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. We will be on live, and you should watch both nights. I've been on the phone. I'm going to have some senior members of Congress and the Senate and one or two governors. And we're going to talk, of course, about the ICE and the shooting in Minnesota, what it means, and how they're going to handle it as federal law, senators and congressmen, and how the governor's handling their state. You're going to want to watch this because I'm going to go in deep. We're also going to talk about the Affordable Care Act. They're supposed to vote to extend it. I want to get into that. What are the ramifications of it? And Venezuela. Last week, because of what was going on in terms of Maduro,
we were preempted Saturday, and I did part of the show Sunday. So I'm going to dig deep. I'm going to make up for 2 weeks this weekend. Make sure you watch it. And then you that are in the New York area, meet me Saturday morning at the Saturday Action Rally at the House of Justice in Harlem, 145th and Lenox, as we deal with this whole countdown to Martin Luther King weekend next weekend, and our theme for straightening out tricks in 26. That's what the theme is. And of course, that's at 9 to 11 at the House of Justice in Harlem, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue. And you can, of course, those of you that are not in the New York area can watch it live on Impact Television or on www.nationalactionnetwork.net. And also, I want to tell you to put 2 things on your calendar now. On the 19th of January, which is a week from Monday, is Martin Luther King official holiday. Jenny, what they've done now with the national parks, saying now you have to pay to go into parks on Juneteenth Day and King Day, they're slowly watering down King Day. And I would not be surprised when they try to come with the King files that's supposed to be released by law in 27. They're going to try to make this the last King Day. So we need to show up in big numbers everywhere.
Yes.
Every King Day celebration. In New York and Washington is our annual National Action Network events. On that morning, Monday the 19th, is our annual Martin Luther King D.C. breakfast. And we're honoring this year the former Attorney General under President Obama, Eric Holder, who will be there. We're honoring the owner of the hotel. We're having it at the Salamander Hotel in Washington, Sheila Johnson, who her and her ex-husband, Bob Johnson, founded BET. She now is the black woman that owns more hotels than anyone in the country. We're honoring her. We're honoring the mayor of Baltimore, Maryland, who brought down record numbers of crime in Baltimore, and we are honoring him. And we're honoring Donna Brazile, the political activist. So, and then we fly to New York. That is at 8:30 on King Day morning. And then we fly to New York, and where we have our annual Martin Luther King Holiday Policy Forum, where we ask everybody, elected officials, to report to the community and those of us in the King tradition, what have you done in the office that you hold in the tradition and spirit of Martin Luther King? What's your record on civil and human rights and on what needs to be done? The governor and the mayor and the president, city council, others of various northeastern cities have already confirmed. Now, all of these events are usually overflowing. So go to www.actionnetwork.net or call the toll-free number at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, and get on the list so you're seated first. Because every time I show up at the breakfast, I'm sorry, I'm giving you the radio number. It's called 1-877-626-4651. Thank you, Jay. 1-877-626-4651. Every time I show up at the Washington breakfast, there's always some outside. Reverend Mal, I couldn't get in. Are you on the list? Did you take care of whatever it is for breakfast? Well, no. Well, then we didn't order that table. Those in the New York, it's no food or nothing. It's just attendance. But those on the list would be the ones seated once we're at capacity. So we try to operate in an organized way. Let me also tell you in advance, all of this builds up to National Action Network's convention. You hear we're doing the HBCU tour, bringing in hundreds of students this year. We're going to have top-notch, everybody knows we have top-notch workshops, the best and the brightest. Make sure you register now and say that I am going to be in New York It is April 8th through the 11th. I'm going to be there one day. I'm going to be there 2 days so we can start gauging now how many rooms to block and what ballrooms to block. So all you got to do is go online, www.nationalactionnetwork.net, and say I'm dealing with King Day. I'm dealing with Put Me Down Early for the convention. And or you can call the toll-free number 1-877-626-4651. Jenny, I'm looking forward to King Day and the convention. You play a pivotal role in both.
Every year I too look forward. One, because it's just an opportunity that that you provide to the community at large to be informed, and with being informed, be empowered. You bring to both King Holiday and to the convention leaders in a variety of places and spaces, field and discipline. Everything from education, elementary through higher education, to health and well-being, criminal justice / criminal injustice, politics. You just, you bring everybody to us for us to, lean in, learn what are the current happenings, the challenges, and how we can be informed and be engaged. So I get excited every year as we gear up for convention and as we recognize King. And essentially, what some people I don't maybe understand is that the work that you do in Public Policy Day with King and down in D.C. is very much consistent with work that he began. It's work that you do every week at the House of Justice, where you educate the community about the issues and you're seeking to hold elected officials accountable. So I get really excited this time.
And let me add that
Martin
Luther King III and Andrea Waters King, his wife, and Yolanda, his only grandchild, Dr. King had, always there with us. And I think it's special that we do King Day with the King family. All right, let me go to Rufus in Savannah, Georgia. Rufus.
Hi. Well, good afternoon. How y'all doing?
Doing well.
Well, as usual, you always take care of the logistics and the legal and the political side.
What was that?
I don't know what
that was. Jennifer Jones.
Okay.
But, I was thinking about the dual sovereignty of Minnesota, and they'll have a good argument. I don't even see this Supreme Court going against the governor under dual sovereignty doctrine. But if Donald Trump tries to stop the state from prosecuting a state crime under dual sovereignty, that's in the Constitution. I don't even see this Supreme Court overturning that.
So you feel that the state can go around what?
Under dual sovereignty, I don't see the federal government barring the state from prosecuting a state crime. That's in the federal Constitution.
All right, wait a minute, Jenny. Is that how you read it, Jenny? Is Jenny there?
She's up, but I don't know what's going on her phone.
My phone may be acting up. I'm sorry, you said you don't see the federal government prosecuting state crimes.
No. I say I don't see the federal government barring the state under dual sovereignty, which is in the federal United States Constitution. I don't see them being able to bar the state under dual sovereignty from.
But wouldn't the state have to?
I see what you're saying.
Wouldn't the state have to? Wouldn't the state, Jenny, have to say that we want a state prosecution and cause a kind of showdown with the federal government?
Yes,
ain't no doubt.
So it would have to be a situation where
let Jenny answer.
The federal government could not bar the state from bringing a prosecution against the ICE agent. The state would have to be able to demonstrate and take it to a grand jury that, as we said before, this ICE agent engaged in a murder. Like unlawful act, greater force, excessive force
Now,
than was
let me ask you
necessary.
this, because we're going to run out of time, and Rufus got my thinking going. Could
Mhm.
the federal government interfere with a state investigation saying, we are investigating this, you stay out of this until we complete our investigation?
They shouldn't legally be able to do that. I mean, that's what the issue is here. Why? How can the federal government just say the state and the local government can't investigate this? So I imagine that if I was the state attorney general, I'd be challenging that in court because this is a citizen. There may have been a murder here. There may have been a manslaughter.
I think that's Rufus's
negligent
point.
homicide.
I think Rufus raised a
Yeah.
good point. All right,
Yeah.
you hear the music, got to go. Let me thank Attorney Jennifer Jones-Austin. Let me thank all of you that called in, listening, you that called in and couldn't get through, but hung in there anyhow. Remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody, tell anybody, tell everybody. Reverend Al told you personally, keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real.